Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure meeting everyone, and it's my honor to be among all dignities today. As you correctly said, that we have to ignore the past and move on. But to move on, this past, how to ignore the past is a big challenge. As a refugee, as you correctly just mentioned, it's my third time being a refugee. Actually, the first time in 1980s when the Russian invaded Afghanistan, we had to leave. I was at small age, 3 or 4 years old. We have to move to Pakistan. And 1996, then we moved back, come back to Afghanistan when the regime changed. And 96, unfortunately, when Taliban came again, Taliban came and took the power in Afghanistan, everything collapsed, the whole system, and we have to leave again. And that was the time I came to UK. And I was there for 96 or 97, end of 2010. And 2010, I moved back to Afghanistan just in hope that, okay, what we have learned, try to help other people's, help women and children to educate them, make them get a life moving. And try to help actually because there was still Afghans coming into UK and Europe. And my aim was, of course, always, I think all the governments should do that. We should find out the solution that stop migration, especially economic migrations. So during the past, before the Taliban 2020, all the refugees was coming to Afghanistan from 2010, especially 2008 and 9. When the situation got better, the UK forces were there. The UK government was involved in Afghanistan more. Still, refugees were coming. So that's why I went back to see how can we improve this economic situation to stop this migration issues, and that will help the UK government as well as the Afghan government and the people. But unfortunately, after being there 10 years or almost 11, and August 2020, I had to leave again due to Taliban came like second time. So my main point is resettlement or moving ahead to any other countries is a big challenge. It will bring a lot of changes. All our families members, I have sisters and brothers, will be scattered around. They go, wherever they find a situation or peace or safe place, they move. So what happened to our family? An example that our sisters and go to Europe. I came to UK. Some sisters went to Middle East and some to America and Canada. What happens now that brings in as coming in that our grandsons, our brothers and sisters had, of course, their nieces and nephews, but my sons, they don't know each other. So that's one big problems happening in bringing in the families that you will never know of. Well, my kids probably will not even know that how many cousins they have it or how many second cousins they have it. Probably the longer it goes in, after 30 or 40 years, they won't even recognize each other. So these issues will happen, bring the people, all due to technology. There's some communication methods, but physically meeting, knowing people, knowing family is a big challenge that will bring as well. So in Afghanistan, it happens the same thing, unfortunately. Since the third time when we created the resettlement, the UK government has been optimistic, initially tried to bring people in the UK. Initially, the list was for 20,000, but they managed to report, they say 15 to 17,000. But those refugees who comes in, there's a lot of vulnerable people who should have been evacuated are still back in the country because the evacuation process, unfortunately, went completely wrong. And those supposed to be out are still back in the country. But what we can do right now for those who are still in the UK and what we can do for those people who are supposed to be moved out of the country. There's two ways in my view. One is that for those to be moved out of the country, either we can create a safe zone or safe havens place for them to live in, move their lives going on. The government, the UK government could work out some diplomatic ties if the legitimacy of the new government, Taliban, comes in, if that happens. If not, then I believe that we should all as a citizens or as a UK residents or try to work out with the government to see those who are really in need of support, especially the women and those politically people, how to remove them, bring them back to the third country if it's not in UK as well. The UK has initially promised that they will bring and the settlement program would start in March, but unfortunately, since March, there's no movement has happened. Only those who has already the cases has been registered in with the UK forces under Arab process, they are being moved. But those other families or other politicians who have been working with the UK government as a different categories, they are still stuck at the with the mercy of no one has there to help them, because the US government is trying to negotiating with Taliban to bring them their demands on to make sure their legitimacy comes in. But the longer it takes in, because Taliban are not those ones who have, we personally don't think so it will change that soon. But if we cannot recognize them, at least those people get some guarantees for the people who was, still live in Afghanistan. But now comes into the people, or just before that, even the families of those who has been stuck, like my families or my some members of cousins or those who has been there in Afghanistan, to make sure we can see how can we bring them to UK if it's possible. Although the government rule says you can, but that process has not been started at all, and I don't think so it will start that much soon. So what will happen to those families who are still there? But those who has managed to come to UK, now they're facing a big challenge, because they have been given a big hope initially. They have been given different promises, but unfortunately, UK government have not been able to fulfill most of those promises. One of them is the families. Second, their settlement in the country. Almost, I personally myself was in the hotel for almost 7 months in the Liverpool, and living in the hotel as a guest, and people who has been came out of the country with the big trauma or big shock. They have not been able to now adopting themselves easily. And the people who are in hotels have, of course, their own different kind of managements with the people not sitting alone with them. And it's not just only the culture issues that have it, it's finding the places where to live, it's also the places it can work or not. The refugees who come this time are much more different from the refugees came in, like I came back in 1996, because this time UK government has brought those people who has worked with the UK forces. So most of them are entrepreneurs or people who are talented, who has been qualified engineers or doctors, or those ones. I believe if we work out to make sure that they have a better life and they are not to be a burden on the UK government or the UK citizens for the tax paying, but they get benefits, they should be made somehow a program that they can be extended hands for all those infrastructures or those civil services or any other workplace, because they know the English, they know the work, they have been security clearance as most of it happens, who was qualified on Arab program or ASREA program if they come in. So I believe if we could collectively, when I say we means I'm an Afghan British actually, because when I was moved back actually, I came back after 10 years. So if we find out those solutions, that how these people can be helpful for the UK government or UK economy, I think that will be much more helpful. And that way they can help their families back themselves somehow as well economically, so that they not have to force everyone to leave the country due to economic if the security is not an issue. So I believe that if we work out together, find out some solutions, find out that how we can help them settle down in the country, that will help move along the families will a lot, and they will get educated, and they will be helping hands for the government itself. And just similar to that, what has happened recently due to Russian invasion in the Ukraine attack happens. Now UK government again has issued or announced that they will try to accommodate more and more Ukrainians in the country. I believe because of the southern war, there's some issues or programs have been announced, but I don't think so it will work that much easily, especially one of the programs that they asked the UK residents to provide houses for those refugees. That it will create lots of other issues, that how I will bring some family in my house, I'm much happy to help, but how will I know this backgrounds? What's their life would be? How they will work out with our families, how they will be settled down in that in my house. So that will create issues of security, will bring into the own families who will keep them accommodating those families in the house. So I believe if as an immigration issues over total, I just want to sum up my discussions, not to want to take much time to open the question and answers. We must find out solutions that how these existing refugees could make sure be extended hands or helping hands for the UK government, so they will not be a burden on taxpayers, on the government itself, and how these future refugees, whether from Ukraine or from Syria or from any other country, how there should be proper program that make sure that those people feel themselves when they come in due to war or due to what situation, how they feel home, how to make sure they feel themselves more comfortable. I really thanks the UK, especially Liverpool, the councils and the people are helping a lot. The charities have been doing a lot for the people, but in the long term, to make sure that they get themselves feel at home, the culture change which they have been facing, the adaptations, how we can do a programs to make sure that they will be much more helpful and they will not be a burden on the people, and people should adopt or accommodate them much easily. We have to find out those solutions. I think there is a lot of ways to do it. Collectively, I'm sure if we help with the government and make sure that the government doesn't give over promise and they don't fulfill it, I think we can be able to do those things. And then that's how we can move forward. And then, of course, we can forget the past. Not all of it, maybe some of the issues we may forget, but it will stay in the minds and memories. But let's hope that we can move forward in a positive way. So thank you a lot for that time. And let's see how, I hope I've not taken much time, then we can open for any questions they have it. So thank you.